Have you ever felt like there's gotta be like a shortcut to truly understanding something really profound? Like tapping into some ancient wisdom that just cuts through all the noise and clutter?
I know what you mean.
Well, that's what we're tackling today by taking a deep dive into a text that's been doing exactly that for centuries, the Tao Te Ching.
Yeah, and what's so compelling about the Tao Te Ching, it's not just its age, it's the whole approach to knowledge.
Mm.
It's not about just piling up facts, but about a fundamental shift, like a whole different way of seeing things.
Absolutely. And we've got this fascinating article, 27 Hidden Teachings in the Tao Te Ching. It really digs into some of the more subtle and powerful ideas in this classic text.
Yeah, it's like our launch pad for exploring these kind of esoteric lessons and really getting to the heart of them, seeing what makes them tick and what makes them relevant, even today.
Totally. So for everyone listening, think of this as your express lane to grasping some really deep concepts.
Hmm.
We're going to explore the ideas, point out what really jumps out, and hopefully spark those aha moments where things just click into place.
Exactly.
As the article kicks off with something that really challenges our usual way of understanding, the inexpressible Tao.
And right off the bat, what strikes you is this idea that the Tao, this ultimate reality, this fundamental principle behind everything, it's actually beyond language.
Right.
The article even mentions that the Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. It
Whoa.
really makes you think about the limits of words when we're trying to grasp something so foundational.
Yeah, it's like trying to explain the feeling of awe you get from a breathtaking view by just like listing off the colors you see. Words just don't capture the experience itself.
Right, they fall short. And the article suggests that understanding the Tao requires a much more direct, intuitive kind of knowing,
Yeah.
something beyond just thinking about it.
It's about feeling it,
Yeah,
experiencing it.
exactly. And that leads right into the next teaching, desire clouds perception.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So the article argues that even our desire for spiritual understanding, like our yearning for enlightenment, can actually become an obstacle to seeing clearly. It's saying that true clarity comes from a place of being free from wanting.
Wow. It's like even our yearning for truth can get in the way of actually seeing it.
Precisely. Think about how often our desires kind of shape what we pay attention to and what we miss. It's like when you really want a specific outcome, you might unconsciously filter out information that doesn't fit with that desire.
It's like confirmation bias, but on a deeper level.
Exactly. And this plays out in our information age big time. Desire for a certain piece of news, a certain outcome, can lead us to only consume information that confirms our existing beliefs, creating echo chambers and preventing us from seeing the bigger picture. The Tao's wisdom here is not just about spiritual desires, but also about our everyday biases in how we seek and interpret information.
That's such an important point. It's like our desire for a particular narrative can actually blind us to the truth.
Absolutely. And building on this idea of something beyond our usual categories is the teaching of the nameless source.
Okay, let's unpack that one.
So the article describes the nameless as the origin of everything heaven and earth, the undifferentiated potential before anything took form.
Like the primordial soup of the universe.
Exactly. It suggests that by letting go of labels and our need to define everything, we can tap into this deeper reality.
It's about going beyond the limitations of language and concepts.
Right. And then the article presents a completely counterintuitive approach to knowledge, subtraction over addition. It's not about accumulating more and more information, but about shedding what's obscuring our understanding.
That's so interesting. It's the opposite of how we usually think about learning and growth.
Right. We usually equate progress with acquiring more skills, possessions, information. But the Tao Te Ching is suggesting that real insight comes from letting go, from stripping away the unnecessary.
It's like mental decluttering.
Exactly. And think about it. Adding more can actually make things less clear. Like if you're trying to solve a complex problem, sometimes having too much data just muddies the waters. The key is to identify and eliminate the irrelevant stuff to see the core issue clearly.
Less is more.
Absolutely. Which brings us to beginner's mind. This is about approaching everything, even things we think we know well, with the openness and curiosity of someone who's brand new to it.
I love that concept.
It's about valuing humility over the certainty that can come with expertise.
Because sometimes thinking we know it all can close us off to new possibilities.
Right. It raises the question, how often do we shut ourselves off to fresh perspectives just because we think we already have the answers,
The beginner's mind encourages us to be lifelong learners, always open to being surprised.
and to value the question just as much as the answer.
Speaking of questions, this next one really flips things on their head. The paradox of knowing.
Yeah, this one's a real mind bender. The article quotes the Tao Te Ching. Those who know do not speak. Those who speak do not know. It's saying that the deepest truths can't be adequately expressed through language. They have to be experienced directly.
It's like the very act of trying to put those profound understandings into words actually diminishes them.
Exactly. And the Tao often uses these seeming contradictions to push us beyond our usual linear, logical way of thinking towards a more intuitive grasp.
It's recognizing that some things are best understood not through analysis, but through being.
Yes, through direct experience.
Okay, so we've explored how the Tao Te Ching challenges our ideas about reality and knowledge. Now, the article delves into this fascinating realm of non-action and yielding. Let's start with the power of emptiness.
Ah, yes. The Tao Te Ching uses the brilliant analogy of a pot. Its usefulness doesn't come from the clay it's made of, but from the empty space inside that allows it to hold something.
I see, so it's the emptiness that gives it purpose.
Precisely. Similarly, the article suggests that in our own consciousness, it's the spaciousness, the moments of stillness, that create the potential for new possibilities and insights to arise.
It's like having a quiet room where you can actually hear your own thoughts.
Exactly. Or a blank canvas for creative inspiration.
And then we have this seemingly paradoxical idea, yielding overcomes strength.
This one's a bit counterintuitive, especially in a culture that often glorifies force and pushing through, right?
For sure.
But think about water, slowly but surely eroding rock. It's that persistent, gentle force that ultimately triumphs over rigid resistance. The article emphasizes that yielding non-resistance can be a surprisingly effective way to navigate challenges.
It's like jujitsu, using your opponent's force against them.
Exactly. It's about finding the path of least resistance, not in a passive way, but in a way that harnesses the natural momentum of things.
And that brings us to wu-wei, effortless action. This isn't about being lazy or passive, right?
Right, not at all. It's about acting in alignment with the natural flow of things so that forced effort becomes unnecessary. Like a skilled musician who seems to effortlessly play complex pieces.
Yeah, or a dancer who moves with such grace, it looks effortless.
Precisely. The key to Wu Wei is deep understanding and alignment. When we're in tune with the underlying principles at play, our actions become more effective and require less struggle. It's about finding that state of flow where action and awareness merge.
And that connects to strength and flexibility.
Ah, yes. The Tao Te Ching uses the powerful metaphor of a flexible tree bending in the storm while a rigid one snaps. It highlights adaptability as a true source of resilience.
It's like being able to go with the flow to adjust to changing circumstances.
Exactly. Rigidity often leads to fragility. The capacity to adapt, to change course when needed, that's a hallmark of true strength, both in nature and in our own lives.
Makes sense.
And finally, in this section on yielding, we have the ultimate surrender.
Ooh, that sounds intense.
It might sound like giving up, but the article frames it as recognizing that true power comes from aligning with the natural unfolding of the Tao, letting go of our need to control every outcome.
It's about trusting the process.
Exactly. It can be a challenging shift for many of us who are conditioned to strive and control. But the article suggests that by surrendering to the natural rhythms and allowing things to unfold, we actually tap into a greater wisdom and power than our individual will can provide.
That's a powerful idea. So we've talked about reality, knowledge, and the power of yielding. Now let's explore how the Tao Te Ching views the interconnectedness of everything, starting with dissolving duality.
Ah, yes. This is a fundamental concept in many Eastern philosophies. The article explains how seemingly opposite concepts, light and darkness, good and bad, are not truly separate, but arise from the same underlying source, the Tao. It's about recognizing the inherent unity beneath apparent divisions.
It's like two sides of the same coin.
Precisely. You can't have one without the other, and they're both part of the same whole.
And this idea of underlying unity connects with witness consciousness.
Yes. The article describes this as the aspect of ourselves that can observe the constant flux of life, our thoughts, emotions, the external world, without getting caught up in it. It's the unchanging awareness amidst the ever-changing.
So it's like having a still, quiet center within us from which we can observe the swirling activity of life without being tossed around by it.
Exactly. And that constant change is highlighted in the next teaching, cycles of nature.
Okay, tell me more about that one.
The Tao Te Ching emphasizes the cyclical nature of all things birth, growth, decay, return. This pattern is everywhere, from the seasons to the rise and fall of empires. It's a reminder that everything is in constant flux, always changing.
It's comforting in a way, knowing that even difficulties are temporary and will eventually give way to something new.
Exactly. And finally, in this section on interconnectedness, we have creation of opposites. This builds on the idea of duality. The article suggests that it's through contrast that we understand and define things. For example, we understand good because we have the concept of bad.
Light and dark, hot and cold.
Precisely. But the article also hints that clinging too tightly to one side of these opposites can be a source of dissatisfaction.
That makes sense. If everything was always pleasurable, we wouldn't even have a concept of pleasure. It's the contrast that gives it meaning.
Exactly.
Okay, now let's shift our focus to inner cultivation and well-being. The Tao Te Ching offers some really unique perspectives here, starting with beyond morality.
Ooh, this one's a bit provocative. The article suggests that when we are truly in alignment with the Tao, with the natural order of things, external moral codes become less necessary. Virtue arises naturally from this deep harmony.
So it's not about following rules, but about being in tune with a deeper sense of right action.
Precisely. It's like when you're completely in sync with the system, you instinctively act in a way that supports it without needing a set of explicit rules.
That makes sense.
And speaking of fundamental aspects, the article touches on satisfying basic needs as a crucial foundation for any further growth.
It's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right?
Exactly. The wisdom here is incredibly practical. The article emphasizes that attending to our basic physical and emotional needs, nourishment, rest, security, is essential for any deeper spiritual or intellectual pursuits. It's about being grounded before trying to transcend.
It's a good reminder not to neglect the fundamentals in our pursuit of higher goals.
Absolutely. And then there's the power of restraint. The article quotes the Tao Te Ching, better to stop short than fill to the brim.
Ooh, I like that.
It speaks to the wisdom of moderation and simplicity in preserving our energy and well-being. It's the idea that constantly striving for more, for excess, can ultimately be depleting. Knowing when to stop, when enough, is a powerful form of self-care and wisdom.
It's about finding that sweet spot of balance.
Precisely.
Now, moving to our inner landscape, we have heart-centered meditation. The article emphasizes the heart's capacity for perceiving unity and connection, contrasting it with the mind's tendency to categorize and divide.
The heart knows things the mind can't grasp.
Exactly. And true meditation, it suggests, goes beyond just intellectual analysis.
What's fascinating is this idea that the heart possesses a different kind of intelligence, a wisdom rooted in feeling and connection, rather than purely rational thought. This suggests that cultivating heart-centered awareness can lead to a much deeper understanding of interconnectedness.
It's about tapping into a different way of knowing, and then there's the balance between heaviness and lightness. This isn't about physical weight, right?
Right. It's about the need for grounding even in our spiritual aspirations. The heavy is the root of the light, the article states.
So we need to be rooted in the practical realities of life, even as we reach for higher understanding.
Precisely. It's a reminder that transcendence requires a solid foundation. We can't just float away into abstract concepts without being rooted in the practical realities of our existence. There needs to be an integration of both the earthly and the ethereal aspects of ourselves.
It's about finding that balance between the material and the spiritual.
Exactly. And finally, in this section on inner cultivation, the article discusses sensory simplicity. It points out how overstimulation from our senses can actually dull our awareness.
Oh, that makes sense.
It even quotes the Tao Te Ching, saying, "The 5 colors blind the eye, the 5 tones deafen the ear." It suggests that reducing sensory input can actually sharpen our inner perception.
So it's about creating space for stillness and silence.
Precisely. In our modern world, where we're constantly bombarded with sights and sounds, this teaching is so relevant. Intentionally creating moments of sensory simplicity can allow for deeper reflection and insight.
It's like hitting the reset button on our nervous systems.
Exactly.
Now, the Tao Te Ching also offers guidance on leadership and how to align with the natural order. Let's explore invisible leadership.
This is a fascinating concept. It's about the leader whose presence is so natural and unassuming that their followers feel like they're acting on their own accord. The article explains that leadership rooted in humility and allowing others to flourish actually empowers people to take ownership and develop their own abilities.
It's like leading by empowering, not by controlling.
Precisely. It's about creating a space where people feel a sense of ownership and initiative, and that ties in beautifully with the next teaching, following natural law.
I'm intrigued.
The article suggests that by understanding and aligning with the fundamental principles that govern the universe, success comes naturally and effortlessly. Resisting these natural patterns, on the other hand, leads to struggle. The Tao follows what is natural, the article reminds us. It's about working in harmony with the grain of the universe, so to speak.
It's like finding that flow state, but on a cosmic level. Okay, we're venturing into some pretty profound territory now, exploring transcendence and meaning. Let's start with the undying valley spirit.
Ooh, this one's deep. This is a powerful symbol of the eternal, unmanifest potential from which all of creation arises. The article even draws a connection to modern quantum physics, hinting at the idea that observation shapes reality, which echoes the Tao's emphasis on the power of awareness. The valley spirit represents that deep, receptive emptiness that gives birth to form.
It's like the quantum field, that underlying field of pure possibility.
Precisely. And then we have transcending mortality. The article suggests that by aligning ourselves with the Tao, which is eternal, we in some sense transcend the limitations of birth and death.
So it's about tapping into something that's beyond our physical existence.
Exactly. It's about connecting with that timeless essence that exists beyond our individual temporary form.
And how does this connect with our everyday experience? The article touches on manifestation from the formless.
Yes. This suggests that through focused intention, clear awareness, and sustained attention, we can bring the unmanifest potential of the Tao into the realm of form. It's about the power of our inner state to shape our outer reality.
So it's not just about passively accepting what is, but actively participating in the unfolding of reality through our focused awareness.
Precisely. And finally, in this exploration of transcendence, we have true abundance. The article beautifully defines this not as the accumulation of material possessions, but as an inner state of contentment, sufficiency, and gratitude.
That's a powerful reframing of abundance.
It really is. The Tao Te Ching says, "He who knows he has enough is rich." It's about shifting our perspective from a sense of lack to an appreciation for what we already have.
It's about finding contentment from within.
Exactly.
Wow, that was quite a journey through these hidden teachings of the Tao Te Ching. It's amazing how these ancient ideas still resonate so deeply today.
It really is. There's a timeless wisdom in these teachings that speaks to the human condition across cultures and eras.
So for our listeners, if we were to distill some key insights from this deep dive, what would you say are the most important takeaways?
I think the recurring themes that stand out are the power of non-resistance, the importance of cultivating inner stillness and spaciousness, the profound interconnectedness of everything that challenges our perception of separation, and ultimately the transformative power of shifting our perspective to align with the natural flow of existence.
It's about going beyond a purely intellectual grasp to a more embodied understanding.
Exactly. It's about living the Tao, not just thinking about it.
And how might these ancient ideas offer us some fresh perspectives on the challenges and opportunities we face in our modern lives?
In a world often driven by relentless striving, competition, and the pursuit of more, the Tao Te Ching offers a potent counter-narrative. The strength in yielding, the clarity found in simplicity, the wisdom of aligning with natural rhythms. It encourages us to reevaluate our definitions of success and fulfillment, suggesting that true abundance lies not in external accumulation, but in inner peace and understanding.
It's a call to simplify, to slow down, to connect with something deeper.
Exactly. And for personal growth, the Tao Te Ching provides a framework for cultivating resilience, navigating change, and finding a deeper sense of purpose rooted in interconnectedness.
It's about finding that balance between being in the world but not of it.
Precisely.
So as you go about your day, maybe take a moment to reflect on which of these teachings resonated with you most deeply. Perhaps consider the power of beginner's mind when facing a familiar situation, or the effectiveness of yielding when you feel the urge to push against resistance.
Yes, these teachings offer practical guidance for navigating the complexities of life with more grace and ease.
And they invite us to question our assumptions, to see the world through a different lens.
Exactly. And that brings up a final thought for you to ponder. How might embracing a more yielding and interconnected perspective not only enhance your personal well-being, but also contribute to a more harmonious and sustainable world? Perhaps the true depth of knowledge lies not just in what we acquire, but in what we learn to let go of and how we learn to connect.
That's a powerful question to leave our listeners with. And for those who want to explore these ideas further, we've included a link in the show notes to a YouTube video that visually and engagingly delves into some of these concepts. It's another avenue to deepen your understanding of this ancient wisdom.
The Tao Te Ching is a gift that keeps on giving. The more you delve into it, the more you discover.
It's a journey of self-discovery and a path to greater wisdom. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Tao Te Ching. We'll see you next time.
Until then, may you find harmony and balance in your journey.